Hi, welcome to Feather and Veil. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 5, The Reckoning Beyond the Bedside, Shadows, Silence, and Scent of Truth. After having another baby, a little girl, I began to think more seriously about my future, about my children's future. My husband and I divorced after 5 years of marriage, and when my daughter was 8 months old, I started college. I had just turned 23. Here I was, a single mother with 2 kids under the age of 2, attending a 4-year nursing program full time. I was living on $600 a month child support, food stamps, and WIC. It was barely enough to scrape by, but I was determined to create a better life for us. During nursing school, I had a hospice rotation. As a student nurse, I had the opportunity to shadow a nurse in their clients' homes. One weekend when my ex-husband had the kids, I received a phone call late on Friday night around 11:30. It was Susan, the nurse I was scheduled to shadow all day Saturday. Her voice carried urgency. "Cheryl, I need you to go over to Mr. K's house now. I'm still 45 minutes away, but the family needs someone there." Mr. K only lived about a mile from me. I quickly grabbed my things, pulled on my coat, and stepped into the night. The air was cold and crisp, a sharp contrast to the heavy dread in my chest. When I knocked on the door, an elderly woman answered. Her face was lined with exhaustion, and her eyes were swollen from crying. "Hello, I'm Cheryl," I said. "Susan asked me to come over since she was a little bit of a drive." Mrs. K gave a quick, almost relieved nod. "Oh, yes, Susan just mentioned you on the phone. That was fast. You must live by. Come in, come in." "I do, only a mile away," I replied as I stepped inside. The moment I stepped inside, the air changed. It was oppressively thick and stifling hot. The house felt heavy, as though it had soaked up years of suffering. Mrs. K led me toward the kitchen, talking in frantic bursts about her husband's illness and his medications. Her voice cracked as she tried to hold herself together. Suddenly, a low, painful moan echoed throughout the house. She froze, tears welling up in her eyes. "There he is now," she cried, her voice trembling. "You've got to do something. Please go to him." She led me toward his room, but stopped at the doorway, almost as if an invisible barrier kept her from stepping inside. I continued forward, my steps cautious. Mr. K lay in bed, frail, his skin almost translucent, his body more than bones and wrinkles. He turned his head slowly toward me, eyes wet and desperate. "Mr. K, I'm Cheryl," I said. "Susan is on her way." With a shaky hand, he removed his oxygen mask and tried to speak, but only a strangled gasp escaped. His eyes darted past me, widening as if he saw something, someone standing behind me. His trembling finger pointed toward the air over my left shoulder. Then, without warning, a deep rumble of thunder seemed to roll down the hallway, even though the night outside was still clear. "Mr. K, let me help you sit up," I said, my voice shaking as I placed my hand gently on his shoulder. The instant my fingers touched him, the room filled with the acrid, unmistakable scent of rotten eggs. The smell of sulfur clawed at my throat, making me gag. My heart raced as I froze in shock, watching in disbelief as Mr. K suddenly lurched forward and vomited bright red fluid. The gurgling sound it made will haunt me forever. "No, no, no," he cried out hoarsely, flailing his arms as if trying to ward off something he couldn't see. The scent of sulfur mixed with the metallic tang of blood was overwhelming. I turned my head, desperate for fresh air, when everything around me went eerily silent. Slowly, I turned back. Mr. K was sitting bolt upright, his eyes wide in terror, blood streaking his chin. He gasped, then collapsed back into the bed, his body still. The silence was deafening. My mind screamed, "What do I do now?" Then it hit me. The wife. I hurried down the hallway, my shoes sticking to the old linoleum. Halfway to the kitchen, a piercing, high-pitched scream rang out, so sharp it felt like it drilled straight through me. It wasn't human. It was like a music note, an unbroken F sharp that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. I froze. A chill swept from my head down to my toes. I could feel someone, something, standing behind me. With a slow, shaky breath, I turned. What I saw still gives me chills to this day. Mr. K stood there, in form, but not him. He was being dragged between two swirling shapes. They weren't solid, not entirely. Black smoky entities had their grip under his arms, pulling him swiftly down the hall, past me. His face was twisted in terror and anguish like I'd never seen before. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, but when I looked again, he was gone. I stumbled back into his room. His body, just an empty vessel now, lay motionless on the bed. The air was lighter. The suffocating heaviness had lifted. Even the temperature felt normal again. I took a deep breath and walked back into the kitchen. Mrs. K looked up at me, her face pale and desperate. A knock then sounded at the back door. Susan entered, her voice calm but urgent. "Sorry I'm so late. Did he pass yet?" Mrs. K turned to me, both women waiting for my response. "Yes," I said softly, trying to still process what I just witnessed. "He just passed." I placed my hand gently on Mrs. K's shoulder. "I'm so sorry for your loss." She inhaled deeply and let out a very weary sigh. "I thank the Lord he's no longer suffering," she whispered. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to stay composed. That night has stayed with me ever since, etched in my memory as a turning point in my life as a nurse and as a human being.